Good afternoon, Wrestling Inc. Get up, get going. Welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily. It's me, your managing editor of WrestlingInc.com, Nick Hausman, joined here as I am every Monday to get the week going right. It's our good friend, Michael Wiseman. Michael, welcome back to the Wrestling Inc. Daily.
It is awesome to be here, Nick. It's awesome to be co-hosting this Monday edition. I love this. I am just pumped about pro wrestling because we have Monday Night Raw, the longest running show of all time since Mankind was invested tonight. We have Dancing with the Stars, which the Miz got voted off on, but I'm still excited about. It's just Full Gear. This is it, man. Thanksgiving, Survivor Series. We're in it, man. We're in it to win it.
I got to ask, since you brought it up, I didn't know you were watching regularly. Who's your pick for Dancing with the Stars? Who you got?
Oh, man. It's been tough because this season people have like almost everybody has been in the bottom two at some point. So all my favorites keep getting voted out. The Miz, he lasted quite a while, but then he got voted out. So it's open. You know who I like? Melissa, what's her name? Melora Hardin, who was in The Office.
From The Office, yeah.
Big fan of Melora Hardin. So that's
JoJo. I'm Team JoJo all the way. Everything that they do is just beautiful. It's just gorgeous pieces of art that JoJo is able. I think in Whitney is her dance partner. I'm not really sure.
Might be. Well, it's cool because it's the first same-sex couple, which is a fun dynamic. But JoJo is a talented dancer. This is where the show gets weird, right? They have actual dancers. JoJo is a performer for a living who dances. So they put on these amazing performances. Then you have somebody like The Miz who athlete, but maybe not a dancer. So it's a fun show to watch. My wife and I have been into it.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? This Dancing with the Stars talk gave us just the perfect amount of time to let the room fill up. So here we go. Before we get into it, I want to remind you all that the chat room is open. The comment section is open. We got a lot to get to here. Of course, Full Gear was over the weekend. We got a couple interesting WWE notes as well. If you want to be a part of the show, you want Michael and I to talk about your comments, leave one. Occasionally, I'll pull them up onto the show here. Like this one right here, Eric Busco saying, great to see you this weekend at Full Gear, Nick. Yeah, we have one of our great listeners, the Buscat, as he's known on Twitter, which is one of my favorite Twitter handles, ran into him at Full Gear. He was waiting in line for food. We shared a moment. We talked a little wrestling. I want to encourage all of you out there to approach me if you see me at wrestling shows. I loved it. And Eric, it was awesome to get to meet you. I'm sorry we didn't get to spend more time together, if anything, So anyway,
it's always cool to meet people in real life that you are online and chat rooms and stuff, right? It's always a fun thing.
And by the way, Aki saying that Sonic hat. You're already getting props for your Sonic hat here today, Mike.
Thank you. I did brighten up my light here, so a couple of people saying that's a little bit dark on my end. It's this new time change, just throwing everything for a loop, so hope this helps you out a little bit.
I think it's the connection. I think it's you're a little fuzzy, but that you're beautiful. We can hear you. You just kind of give me a Zordon vibe from the Power Rangers right now. That's all. Anyway,
it's my wife is downstairs watching medical drama 101 or whatever it is. So.
Oh, throwing his wife under the bus. All right. He to get the show going. And hey, we got a guest here today after the news that you're going to hear us in your audio form. Can't be a better guest to start the week. I talked to him just a couple hours ago, so this one is fresh. Double J, Jeff Jarrett in the house, talking Full Gear, talking all things AEW. I wanted to get Jeff's thoughts right at the top. There's all this hot talent out there right now, great big name talent. Jeff, the last time there was a lot of big name talent right after the Monday Night Wars, he started his own promotion in TNA. Jeff is not with WWE. He is a man on his own. He has to see the lay of the land right now. Is Double J Jeff Jarrett interested in launching another promotion? The answer may surprise you. We will have that here later on, and it's just a great talk. So and Eric, by the way, here saying no worries, it was on Raj's time. It was. Raj was had me. I'm very busy, but of course Raj wants me to pound the flesh as well. So Eric, I'm glad we got to spend time.
You say pound the flesh? Is that
press the flesh? What is it? Pound the flesh?
These all sound like weird, I don't know, sexual.
No, that's how we say
Urban Dictionary.
That's what we call a handshake down south in Texas. So.
Pound the flesh. I've heard of pounding the pavement. I've heard of a pound of. You sure it wasn't a pound of flesh like in the Bible? Because that would be a very Texas thing.
I think it's pressing the flesh. I think pound. I think I said something that may have not been on the level. Anyway,
it's not pound any flesh today. How about that?
And of course, in the mailbag, Michael, we are going to talk about AEW Full Gear and what was everybody's favorite match on that show. The answer may surprise you. I'm a little surprised looking at the poll. So with that, let's dive into it here. Let's look at Full Gear. It's time for news you can use. News that'll leave a bruise. Adam Page defeated Kenny Omega in the main event to become the new AEW World Champion. Earlier in the night, Bryan Danielson defeated Miro to become the #1 contender, so he's on deck, seemingly, for Danielson. And, of course, the Observer saying about this main event, Omega was working with a hurt shoulder. Thoughts on Page finally taking the title? Everything here, Michael.
I think it's really cool. This long-term storytelling. I mean, they've been building this for 2 years, ever since I think Page got the original title shot against Jericho. They've been seeding elements of this over, a very long time. The fans have been responded for it. They've been hungry for Hangman Page. I think it was a cool moment. I think it was a great cap to that show. And I think you gave the fans what they want, which we know their competitor, WWE, doesn't always like to do. So all in all, really cool moment, great match, and I think the next good champion. Although, I'll put one asterisk on that, Nick. I am not convinced Hangman Page is going to be a long-term champion.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a very interesting moment for him to have this title. We're going to have Jeff on here in a little bit, and we don't really talk a whole lot of Full Gear. I do get his take on this. And spoiler alert, we're going to have Jimmy Corderas on tomorrow. I also get his take on this. The kind of refrain I keep kind of getting here right now is like, yeah, I'm stoked about Adam Page, but this doesn't feel like the biggest story coming out of the pay-per-view. And for a show that everybody like you were all reading the same script. Oh, it's a 2-year build. It's got, I hear that refrain, but I'm not feeling it, right? Like I hear the same stuff from everybody, but I'm not feeling it from everybody, if that resonates with you.
I feel like what we have right now is a very core, tight group of AEW fans who have been there since day one, right? They're the Omega original diehards, right? They were happy when Jericho came in. I think Moxley was kind of the big surprise, but they're the ones who have been pulling for Hangman since the very beginning. I also think you have brought in your audience a little bit. You've brought in some huge names. We mentioned Mox, who was a champion. We got CM Punk. We got Bryan Danielson now right there. That brought in some other eyes. Maybe those aren't all the same Hangman Page guys. So I think Hangman Page deserved this moment and deserved being paid his dues. But I think if you're booking this as a broader pro wrestling show and trying to, as they keep saying, expand the pro wrestling audience, no offense to Hangman Page, more people in that other sphere know a Bryan Danielson or a CM Punk. And that's why I believe we're not too far away from a guy like Danielson or Punk winning the title.
Okay, because your Punk, after his victory over Kingston, was making the belt motion. I actually asked him about it in the scrubs. He didn't want to really say anything. I think he just said it's strap season, or he said the strap season like 8 times and he moved on. So, but with Danielson, yeah, I mean, he seemed so confident in the scrum that he was going to take this title from Adam Page. I mean, it does feel like, I don't know. I mean, how can you have an Adam Page fend off these talents? I think I'm leaning with you, Michael. I don't know that Adam Page may hold this title that long, considering who's around right now.
And we've had some long title reigns, and I think Kenny Omega clocks in as the longest title reign in the AEW history so far. So with that being said, a shorter title reign would not be the worst thing for the belt. I'm not saying we hot potato it and do a WWE every other week kind of thing, but Hangman coming in, I don't want it to happen this week or next week. I think it's like the next maybe big show, maybe even if it's not a pay-per-view, but soon Danielson calls a shot. He will win that title. I don't think it's a disservice to Page because Danielson is he's the veteran, right? He's the elite athlete who's been everywhere and beaten everybody. It gives Page something else to work towards, but I do believe that should still be a few months away if we go that route.
Yeah, something's going to have to start up here on Wednesday. Before you get to Danielson, I guess Kenny Omega could make a case for wanting a rematch, right? Or something like that coming out of the bout. How do you feel about that?
We have this kind of lingering Danielson Kenny Omega match where they went to a draw and it was this amazing thing and fans wanted more. Maybe they're saving that for the long term. You hear these reports about Omega being beat up, and I just can't imagine they're going to want to put him in another long-term story. I would not be surprised if he kind of works his way out. Maybe he doesn't get a rematch, and maybe we just move on to the next thing to give Omega time to heal. But if you want to buy time, you could do that to kind of extend his Hangman Page's run. It's an interesting place. I think you pivot and do something new, though. I think Danielson is hungry. CM Punk is hungry. Omega got what the fans have been wanting from him since day one of AEW, an awesome title run. He delivered on that. I think we've got to pivot, and I think we're kind of in this weird space with Danielson and Punk anyway, where the stories of Punk not getting all the big spotlight he needs or being used the right way, you can start paying off some of that if you are Tony Khan.
Yeah, I guess it is. Those big fish are all starting to swirl right now. M. Cass Pierce saying, stop it, Hausman. Danielson isn't winning the title. Neither is Punk. Adam Cole, maybe. See what I did there? But I was surprised with Adam Cole. He was the only of the big names to lose, right? His team came up short in that 6-man. A little bit of a I don't, again, like, was this the EVPs not wanting to put themselves over again, or I don't really know, but it was, I don't know what I take away from it, but I thought it was surprising considering how Danielson and Punk are just being allowed to sit here and hit home runs all day, and Cole, first big, pay-per-view bout, and Cole did not pick up a win there.
Well, and you look at the match that happened where they kind of gave Hangman Page the nod right before he took out Kenny Omega, right? I think it was Matt Jackson was the one who, standing there at ringside, kind of did the nod. It was like, all right, I wonder if we're going someplace with the Elite that's different in the future. I know everybody is happy to have Adam Cole back in the Elite, and it feels like this kind of reunion, but there are guys rumored to become, we got Bobby Fish, right, already there, but there are other guys in the wings ready to come in from NXT in maybe a couple of months. So do we do an Elite versus a reunited Adam Cole group of some kind, right? Retribution. I don't know. It would be not Retribution, but it would be an interesting thing to see if we had the Elite kind of splinter at this point and Adam Cole, Bebe, goes and does his own thing with a couple of old friends from NXT.
I think there's a really good chance. I wonder, again, I don't want to get too down in the rabbit hole because I bring it up with Jeff, but the Bullet Club situation, why did we never get Bullet Club? Could we get these guys back on the same page to do business with the Bullet Club? Really interesting time right now. We have Samantha here saying Brian, he can bring back his hemp belt. I would love that. I would love to see a wooden hemp version of that AEW title. I think that's amazing. We also have here from Elizabeth Fox, I hope that is not true. Hangman will be such a cool champion if they let him be. Maybe some great feuds. Give him the rub from those guys. It would be something to watch Page roll through a Danielson and Punk, but it's getting to that point where how do you balance this, right? Like, let's get to Punk and Kingston here, right? Punk during the match, he pays homage to John Cena, pops, boos. Like, I was there for this. It was a very mixed crowd. Some people were they hated Punk, way into Kingston. Eddie, I guess, suffered a shoulder injury here at some point, but he put out a tweet today saying he's fine. I was surprised that the match maybe wasn't as long. I think it was like maybe the shortest match of the whole show, and I don't know. I'm going to ramble a little bit here, so I'll let you jump in on Punk.
And I'm not sure what they're doing with CM Punk at this point, and I don't know where they want to go with him. I think we talked about this last week on the show, right? CM Punk, Eddie Kingston kind of came out of nowhere, this super hot feud that is just amazing, incredible, and everybody's really excited about it, right? And the promo battles, everything else delivered. That match, you saw Eddie Kingston just beat the shit out of him right from the get-go. It delivered. But Punk is the biggest name in AEW right now, if you're looking at it from a casual pro wrestling fan. I think diehard AEW fans are kind of doing a little bit of rejection of the bigger WWE names, right? We saw them booing Punk because Eddie Kingston's the guy that they wanted to prop up. We saw them coming in here booing Cody Rhodes, right? Because he puts himself over too much. They've not gotten there with Danielson yet, but I think at some point, Tony Khan is going to kind of be faced with this. Do I give the diehards who brought me here what they want, or do I go a different direction because it might bring in some audiences? And again, viewership is not bad, but it's rebounded down a little bit below that $1 million mark or that 1 million viewer mark. I just think you'll have all these pieces in play. I understand wanting to give Page the rub, and you go that route, but we didn't give Kingston the rub. You can't let Punk lose yet. Where are you going with this dude? I think Page does not get the rub yet, right? Don't think he gets the rub yet.
Yeah.
With those bigger names, obviously he got the title rub. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't get the beating the veteran rub yet.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just interested to see where Eddie Kingston goes from here. I couldn't, I couldn't tell if that handshake was planned or not, right? With Punk at the end and Eddie just kind of walking off, but not knowing is like the most fun part of this feud right now with these two. And, I'll say this about Danielson, because in the scrum, and I had wanted to ask him about this since it happened, like Punk mentions Danielson in that infamous promo, we all thought you were fat, all that. I wanted to ask Danielson about it. I thought Danielson would maybe kind of want to distance himself. And he kind of like doubled down. If you go back and listen to it, where he's like, being a wrestler is just what you do in the ring and it's out of the ring. And, I go back and I stretch after matches. Eddie goes out and parties till 3:00 in the morning. His shoulder is beat up, like, I don't know if he was saying that because it was off the cuff and genuine, or does he know there's money there if you say that stuff to Eddie? It was also kind of heelish because like people love Eddie. So I don't know. It's a real Eddie Kingston has brought a real something to the picture with these veterans,
Well, and you have Eddie Kingston. I mean, not only is I should broaden that statement out from earlier that I made. The AEW diehards have elevated him, but you also saw the article that came out last week that he wrote about his history and how he got to here. He never thought he would be here, and kind of that tough. He had to go through a lot of shit to get to this pay-per-view, to get to AEW. Never thought he was going to make it. He had given up on his dreams. That really felt like an underdog story, right? And fans love a good underdog story. So maybe we're just seeing these guys looking at, MMA is not always good guy versus bad guy. Fans love Conor McGregor. Fans hate Conor McGregor, right? For all the same reasons. And maybe the pro wrestlers in this are leaning into that mentality, that shades of gray. Some people are going to love me. Some people aren't going to love me, but we're going to make money either way. And it's going to feel like a damn big fight when we do.
Well, the other match I wanted to talk about from the show, the opener, MJF versus Darby Allin. I mean, it was a really great energy to start the show. Again, like I always like to test the waters. That first match, what's the tone set? I think you couldn't have set the tone any better. But it is interesting how divided the audience was. Like, is MJF becoming too good at his heel gimmick that he's getting over? Because, like, I feel like there were as many people that liked MJF in that audience that liked Darby Allin. And I think the MMA, comparison you just made is apt here, but it was, I don't know. I had never seen MJF get the reaction he got in Full Gear.
He's good, right? It's like when The Rock was a heel. It was hard to make The Rock a heel because he was so entertaining and so energetic, and he connected with people. So I feel like MJF has almost done too good of a job at everything he's done. He's delivered in the ring. I think we saw Saturday night too. That was he's been a good wrestler. He was a great wrestler Saturday night, and him and Darby had a great match. But I don't know, like, does he pop up into that main event picture now too? Because he's been right there on the cusp. He's been going through some of the same people, Chris Jericho, Darby. Like, is he ready for the next step? Is he the first guy to challenge Hangman Page to keep Page busy before Page goes on the Danielson?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not immediately. I mean, it's a pretty cluttered main event picture for that title right now.
Sure.
I think you're right. He has a case, and I could be horribly wrong, right? I don't know. I think they're gonna get right to Danielson Page if I had to guess, but I could be very wrong about that too, right? I don't know.
They like to bring in, what they'll do. I could see him kind of coming in maybe for one of those TV main events, because they will bring in championship contenders. We saw Jungle Boy earlier this year outside of a pay-per-view and a few other ones. So maybe he fills that role to tide us over until the next pay-per-view. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, what do you do with Darby now, right? He loses to Punk, he loses to MJF. You know what I hope? And I'm giving away some content because Corderis is gonna be on tomorrow, and this is wholly his idea. Wouldn't it be great to just see Darby just crack Sting on Wednesday night and be like, I am so done with you. You have been bringing me down. I have lost 2 pay-per-view matches in a row. To do something different, right? I mean, he said that to me, and I was just like, now I can't get that out of my head. It seems too good to be true. It's interesting that Darby still very over, but 2 big pay-per-view losses in a row here.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any. I mean, I think this loss hits him harder from a fan's perspective than the CM Punk one did, right? Nobody expected Darby to win that match. We just expected him to be in the match, and I think that was the rub. Losing to MJF feels a little bit more like you're kind of being pushed down the card a little bit. Sting elevates him, but I also wonder, we saw that show opened, his entrance opened with a really cool video package of him literally murdering some dude. So could we? Yeah. We bring in, we bring in Bray Wyatt. right? We have maybe some more thematically. I know Bray Wyatt's going to be filming a movie and yada, yada, yada coming up soon. But does Darby Allin kind of lean over into that pre-produced wrestling segment arena for a little while to give the show something different like what we had during the pandemic? That would be a fun feud too. Darby Allin, Bray Wyatt, Sting is involved. Who knows?
Yeah. Kristen Jonas here popping. Yes. Get rid of Sting. I guess that idea, it tickles you when you start to think about it right now, right? Or Sting comes back. He cracks Darby over the head, brings back the main event Mafia. That's what Iron Meds here says, Sure.
Kevin Nash comes back out, right? Booker T signs with AEW.
Hey, if I can get Kevin Nash working with the cruiserweight division or the X division of AEW, I'm all about it. So, also here, Justin Cruz. I'll jump to this. Why didn't Wyndham debut at Full Gear? Yeah, with him doing the movie, I think it's tamped down a lot of the rumors about him going to AEW because you kind of know he's doing something else. But there were still a lot of there were a lot of people I think at the show that I was hearing, kind of thinking maybe he would be there. I asked Tony about it on the Scrum last week. He said last time he saw Wyndham was a year ago at Chris Jericho's birthday party, something like that. But the Observer saying, no, there was definitely a plan in place at one point for Bray Wyatt to join AEW, not knowing why it didn't happen. So, whose side is he on? I don't know what to believe here at the moment. But I have to believe there's been, even if it's just intermediaries, it's not Tony directly. I got to think something happened. Some kind of conversation happened.
Tony Khan, he is the master manipulator, and he will say things that are like, kind of lying to you and say it to your face pretty straight, especially around rumors about wrestlers. And we've never talked. There was never a contract in place, and he kind of he's a little bit sneaky in that way. So I wouldn't trust everything he says. What I would say is this is good. People were expecting another big debut. I would like to see us get a little bit of distance. Everything depends on contracts and wrestlers and working, right? So we can only control this to a certain extent. But save Bray Wyatt as a good surprise early next year. Right now, like you said earlier, main event picture is a little bit cluttered. Let's work through some of this coming out of Full Gear. Full Gear felt like a major culmination. Adam Page, but a lot of other reasons is too, right? So let's get past this and kind of clear the landscape a little bit to give Bray Wyatt something new to kind of come in here and work with. I have a question for you, Nick. Like you were there live. This also worth saying, this is a long ass show. I'm here on the East Coast, kicks off at 8, goes until midnight. I'm not a young man anymore. How did the crowd feel throughout the show?
Honestly, it flew by.
Cool.
Like I thought it flew by. I didn't have an issue with at least being there live. Now I also got in at like 10:30, napped for like 4 hours in the afternoon, knowing I was going to be up all night till 1:00 doing the scrubs anyway. And I only had one beer the entire show, which was very different and I'm trying to drink less beer, right? Still drinking some, but I was very alert. I was very present, and at least maybe it was because I was in the media section. We're all very engaged. I thought it flowed. I didn't have anybody complain about the length of the show. That didn't come up with me. So
that's good. Yeah, and it was just, I'm an old man. I go to bed at 10:30, 11 every night, so it was past by bedtime. But it was I felt like it was, you could have trimmed out some of the fat, we'll say, but it was like top to bottom. They made good use of the time that they used. It didn't feel like there was a whole lot of filler.
Well, the last thing here coming out of the show that was real big, buzzy, and newsworthy, Jay Lethal, the first, maybe only Ring of Honor talent to be picked up here in the wake of the company going on hiatus or whatever you want to say. He's now with AEW. Thoughts on Jay joining All Elite?
Jay Lethal, he was in Ring of Honor, mainstay for so long. He's got that name. He was very identified with that brand. But remember, too, he was in Impact for a while, or TNA back in the day. Like, he had expanded a little bit. So I'm just assuming Tony Khan, it's always curious to me, how does he choose who he picks to come in, especially from a guy like Jay Lethal who didn't, he's been with Ric Flair, I guess, in TNA and Impact Wrestling, but he never really broke through into WWE. So he must see something there. Lethal definitely has more of a veteran presence for the locker room. He's been around the block, even if he's not been on the biggest stage of them all. So it sounds like he's going after the TNA or the TNT championship, and that sounds about right. I don't think he's a future world champion in this company, but I think he's somebody who pads out your mid card and gives you a veteran presence there as you bring in more young guns and help raise them up.
Yeah, and I don't think this is the last Ring of Honor. I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Danhausen there when his leg is fixed. I think if he hadn't broken his leg, he'd probably be there right now. Sure. I think I still think there's a good chance PCO comes in.
Yeah, I'm just really, I would love to have a conversation with Tony Khan about how does he decide and what is his vetting process. I mean, people brought up some of the controversy around Jay Lethal, and Jay Lethal's addressed that in the past. And, I'm assuming, maybe wrongfully here, Tony Khan has a process that when those accusations come up, he works through his process to address those. I have no idea. I've not heard what that is. But overall, I would imagine Tony Khan is looking at his roster, looking at the guys out there, and he picks guys for certain reasons. I would just love to know at times, what is it that you are wanting to bring him in here in for? Is it because he's a veteran? Is it because he's been a former world champion in those companies? Is it his style? Right?
I think it's very stylistic, and I don't think it's a secret that, like, if you were over in Ring of Honor in like 2012, like, there's probably a spot for you right now in AEW.
That's fair.
If you were over 2000, let's say 2008 to 2012, I think you might have a ticket to ride. It's just something put out.
Where's
there.
Samoa Joe? Is Samoa Joe back from injury yet?
I don't know. Probably like, damn, what did I say? So Mattman podcast, Andrew Zarian saying backstage AEW morale up following the pay-per-view. I know a lot of people very happy. Paige has that title there. As we put a button here on our AEW segment, I wound up staying at the AEW hotel. I got the hotel across the street from the venue, and I was actually down at the bar with a lot of the AEW roster, and can tell you firsthand, very happy group of people that nearly cleaned out the booze for the entire hotel. It was a raucous. I didn't sleep on Saturday night, Michael.
Well, that sounds like a good time, and it sounds like that everybody is happy. They went out there, did their work. They had a good celebration afterwards. They have a lot to be proud of. I've picked on the numbers and ratings a little bit and said there's a little bit of focus there that they could use maybe on the bigger stars to bring that up. I don't know, right? I'm just one man with an opinion, but locker room morale matters a lot, especially when you compare it to WWE right now. So I'm happy that they're happy, and they should be proud. They put on one hell of a show Saturday night.
So a couple WWE items before we get to Jeff Jarrett. If you're in audio form, again, if you're in video form, hop over to the Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel, I think right now, actually. So we're going to go a little long. There'll be a little overlap, but go check out Jeff right after we're done here, Wrestling Inc. YouTube channel. But Corey Graves, he tweeted out the following on Friday. I kind of want to wrestle again. Very ambiguous. Could have had a thing of whiskey in his hand when he said it, but Corey, stranger things have happened, man.
If he wants to get on it, man, he's going to age himself out of the WWE roster age if he's not okay pretty soon.
And Corey, you're too old. Sorry, buddy. I know you got a great story, and we could probably make money on that, but straight up too old.
He had a great look when he was in NXT. Man, he had a fantastic look. So,
And lastly here, we got a statement, Wrestling Inc., from WWE about Keith Lee's recent comments about how he paid for all his own health bills. WWE writes, Keith Lee's recent comments implying WWE failed to pay his medical bills are erroneous. WWE has an extensive healthcare program for the medical care of its in-ring performers, and Mr. Lee was part of this program while with the company. Should Mr. Lee have any concerns over the payment of medical bills, he is welcome to address them with WWE. Man, this is a rough breakup here with these two.
Oh, I always want to side with the wrestlers, especially when it comes to healthcare. And, we have these guys who are contractors and they don't have benefits like, the average Joe does who works a 9 to 5. But WWE coming out swinging here. Like, you almost want to feel like if they're going to make a statement that strong to you, then Keith Lee's got to back it up a little bit, right? Like, you're going to accuse the big dog here. They're going to.
Maybe we're going to see a little back and forth here, or maybe they resolve this amicably out. Maybe he did this to get their attention. Who knows? But yeah, really messy, man. Really messy.
Well, you have to. It feels like Keith Lee, like his chances of going back to WWE are just spiraling by. I mean, never say never. It's pro wrestling, but spiraling.
All right. Well, Michael, thank you for joining me at the top of the show, talking all the news today. Thank you to everybody who jumped into the comment section. Yeah, MCast Pierce saying that I have some stories to tell that I'm not. Shoot me an email. We'll talk. Look, did I have a great time at the AEW full year after party? Heck yeah. Wonderful people. Very enjoyable group of gentlemen and ladies there. We all had a good time. I don't really feel like I am not telling you any stories. I think it was just pretty much just an after party where drinking and revelry happened. Nothing negative. All right. So with that, oh, by the way, thank you, Jeff Jarrett. You're awesome. That was great that I got to start my day talking to you. And go support Jeff. I don't know why he needs my support. His podcast is like the biggest thing in the world. So whatever.
He's so good in that role too. Like, let's just talk. He just seems like, here's what I love about Jeff. When you talk to Jeff, he seems like who he is. Like, a lot of guys do these podcasts, they put on a certain air. Jeff is like kind of willing to be honest in a way that not everybody is sometimes, you know?
And he didn't say he's not interested in starting a new promotion. He was like, of course I'm thinking about it, Nick. Why would I not? I'm a third generation promoter. Great. It's good. Caught me off guard. All right, real quickly. At Wink Daily, that's us on Twitter, WINC. What was match of the night at Full Gear? Omega Page, Allin MJF, or Punk Kingston. 30. This is over 200 votes here in about a half an hour because we did it late. 38.4 MJF Darby. 30. Oh no, wait, back to a tie here. Okay, 38-2 MJF Darby Allin. 38-2 Kenny Omega, Adam Page. 21-8 Punk Kingston, and 1.8% for the rest of the card. This is a 3-match card. Apparently, I picked the right 3 matches. What do you think was the match of the night?
Oh, it's a hot opener, and I loved it. But the Omega Page payoff just felt really special, and it felt like a moment for this company. And I think that's worth something. Although y'all disrespecting Punk, nobody wrote in Miro Bryan. That was a fun match. Like, they just beat the shit out of each other, right?
I thought it was good. You know what? Honestly, it's getting slept on. I thought the 6-man Falls Count Anywhere match was just fun, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was very much a Young Bucks. We're going to do a series of crazy stunts and moments, right? Whatever. But, as far as like keeping the crowd engaged and really kind of upping that energy and paying off with a big moment and a surprising finish, I thought that was actually a very, very good. I thought they told a wonderful story with that 6-man.
Huh, I'll give you that one. That was. I thought it was a little bit long. You could have trimmed it up a little bit, but
Sure.
what am I complaining about having too much gold here? Come on.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. And if I had, by the way, I think main event opener, both were very, very good. I kind of lean MJF Darby just because, like, I thought it was really interesting energy.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, really telling. This is a dead heat. The opener and the closer, that's where the interest was here. That opener was as well received, at least by our little poll here, as the main event. It's going to be a big amount of pressure on Adam Page to deliver here this Wednesday night. The right promo, the right moment, the right first feud, the right angle. We got to see what this guy's first moves are. I am sure Tony has something cooked up, but this is going to be where the rubber meets the road.
It's really interesting. A lot has been made in the last week, especially of the AEW women's division, and rightfully so. But that match was fine, did not set things on fire. I just feel like Tony Khan has got, and that's not to discount the credits or the talent. Sometimes talent don't match up right. It's a number of things. Tony Khan's got to do something for that women's division to put a fire underneath it. I don't know what it is, but it's not buzzy in a way that it should be. And I think that's a big disservice to AEW right now.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of the show. Like I teased earlier, everybody, come back tomorrow. I'm going to be joined by Second City's EJ Cameron and Jimmy Corderas back in the house. It's an awesome conversation with Jimmy, all about AEW and a lot of WWE stuff too. So stick around for that tomorrow. The Wrestling Inc. Daily is brought to you by WrestlingInc.com. We're on all your socials, and of course, the Wrestling Inc. podcast goes live at night after all the big shows. Go check that out as well. Michael, what do you want to plug, promote, put over here to wrap up the show today?
Well, I can't put over this show because I'm on this show and you were listening to it, so that doesn't do me any good. But I will put over my personal Twitter. I am at The Real Wiseman, and I would love to have more conversations about AEW, Dancing with the Stars, what have you.
Hey, I'll probably message you tonight about DWTS. I'm down. So I am at Nick_Hausman. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will talk to you tomorrow. And remember, if you winked, you didn't miss it.